the Professionalists. We're playing Zelda. Mikey's driving. I'm here. And that would actually, you know, put that behind an orchestra. And yeah, that's pretty much a better version of Zelda.
That's my new rap sequence.
And Cyndy's here with... We're going to continue our interview from last time, this time going in a different direction.
Straight down.
Straight down. Yeah. In fact, straight down referring to women, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about women today. We're going to talk about the ideas of how we've managed to create a space that's pretty much a boys' clubhouse in a medium, which is kind of bizarre, but also I guess kind of like, you know, movies in the 20s. Yeah.
Movies today still.
Movies today still. And one of the things we wanted to clean up from our last interview, since we have the opportunity to do that, we started talking about paired playing in regards to the class. We were talking about how that actually happened in the class between Ed and Tim Welsh, who were the two people running the class. Basically what they did was Tim would play, Tim would drive, Ed would comment on what's going on in the game, and aid us in discussion.
And I mean, it was encouraged that the class, Tim would be playing on this large projector screen. And everyone in the class, all about, I want to say there were 18 of us or so, maybe even more, were free to kind of point out things and to kind of yell out things that were happening while Tim was playing.
Yeah, it was kind of like a improv show.
Mm-hmm.
My foot fell asleep. I'm itching my leg.
Yeah, it was
My
exactly
mother
like that.
texted me.
Yeah, that was kind of
like that.
Just like what we do.
A lot of good stuff like that. Really good analysis.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was kind of the end of our last episode. Episodes was talking about close playing and let's playing, and we actually did talk a little bit about the different gender roles and ideas that came up in this discussion about gaming. But now we're gonna go much more in depth.
Don't blink.
Ease on that.
Do not close your eyes.
Oh, you saw that too? Yeah, that's what we saw.
What is happening with her mouth?
I don't know what they were trying to do with this, but it looks bad.
This is gonna be.
I don't know if there's any like redeeming quality to how haunting and scary this is on accident. But it's okay because our robot person who calls us master is gonna dance for us. Do a little two-step around the room.
I require entertainment.
So she's gonna dance for us? Yeah. There's nothing weird about that at all. Especially based on what we're gonna talk about today.
Look at that. Look at that technique.
She's very sprightly.
She's spry.
Yeah. Like a drink.
Oh, what?
Like a Coke product.
You made
That's
them
dry.
Oh look.
She's sprightly.
Oh.
Now I'm joining in. We got a dancer. We got a singer. We got Link on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is like...
They have their very own Jethro Tull.
Oh, Cyndy, you're way classier than all of us.
Jethro Tull, the very first winner of the Heavy
right.
Metal Grammy Award.
I remember birds.
Yeah.
Remember the big deal about birds in the first hour of the game?
No.
Nope. Me either. That's why they had to put them in again.
Okay, good. I forgot about birds for a second. Thanks, Nehru's Wisdom. It's a great song. For our next song, we're going to play something new that hasn't been released yet. Just new. It's an exciting project that you haven't heard of. It's more free form than our other work.
It's fairly obscure.
And we hope you like it. Yeah, no, don't jump up and down. That's not what this song's about. Please, just stand in
Actually,
place.
if you guys could turn around and
Yes.
not look at us, and look at the back wall.
All right, so we're going atom hunting.
Yep.
Yep. Anyways, now that we're off to the races again, might as well just talk about something way more interesting than what this game is making us have to deal with
Really need to
for
make
an hour.
the doors a bit bigger.
Why is the door so small? Some
Hoobah!
kind of Alice in Wonderland stuff. So, earlier, our friend Nathan was on, and we discussed online game spaces, communities, and reactions to gay gaming in these communities. So your gaming experience is a little different from Nathan in a few ways. Your preferred genres of games, for one.
Very different.
He's more of the RPG fan.
It's a lot better.
Well, yeah, he's more familiar. There's also how long you've identified yourself as a gamer. Gamer in quotes. That's the title that...
The title's
Yeah.
so
So...
could be a whole other, hour.
How do you manage being in the primarily male gaming community?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because on the whole, the gaming community in general is pretty
It's masculine. There's no denying it.
But I mean, there are definitely pockets of women, especially in RPGs like WoW, or MMORPGs like WoW. A lot of women play. I know there's been a lot of studies to show that a lot of women are playing, especially like older women, like 30s to 50s, are playing a lot of what we consider casual.
The social games.
Right, the social games. The thing about is I play mostly FPSs, and I think PC FPSs as opposed to like console FPSs like Halo tend to have more females. I mean, that's purely anecdotal. I don't know if there's any data to support that. But, I mean, you don't run into them too much.
That also kind of makes sense with how you can create spaces in the PC realm via like Steam or via different servers that you're on. Because in the PC realm you have servers that you're on.
Exactly.
As opposed to the console where you're kind of thrown to the wind.
Right. Usually
you gotta fall in that belly button,
I play on a couple different servers. And I would say...
You go to the same servers?
I go to a few servers. At the beginning, I would...
I mean, anyone does that. It doesn't really matter.
At the beginning, I went to quite a few different servers. I didn't have a whole lot of guidance. And I didn't really... Obviously, when you start playing any game, you start exploring any sort of social network or world, you do a lot of experimentation and a lot of looking around and seeing things. That's what I did at the very beginning.
Some circular
right.
experimentation when you're in college?
Right, exactly.
It's
more like that for TF2. For Left 4 Dead, you can't really choose your server. They just kind of set you up with a team. Or you can...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can set yourself up with a team.
It's not like a clan that you can join in.
No, and the thing is that the thing about Left 4 Dead is that you're either playing with 4 players or 8 players. So, I mean...
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of...
variation. Like TF2 where there's...
Right, you can't really jump into someone else's... I mean, you can jump into someone else's game, but not in the same way you jump into TF2 game.
Yeah.
So, when I played a lot of Left 4 Dead, and I still do from time to time, I would basically jump into the game, I would play, I wouldn't really interact or get on the mic, and all that stuff. I met a few people, and we became friends, and then we started playing more together, and then it became... Essentially, I only played with those friends.
Yeah.
Right, and then, I think TF2 is a more interesting topic to discuss.
Oh, yeah?
Because of how, the communities are just a lot larger, I found. And the thing is, you can... What is that? Is that a meteorite?
It's a chunk of pure crystallized monster malice.
Oh, okay.
It's the offshoot of really, really
evil stuff.
Really bad things.
Something. I guess he wins a thing. Where are you going, by the way?
I was trying to hit him because he's going to drop a rock on me.
I get that part.
Nope.
I'm trying to figure out, like, where...
How successful that ended up being.
Where are you? So you're supposed to be in the desert. Aren't you supposed to be on the other side of this whole area?
I have no idea.
Because isn't the Temple of Time kind of just like a closed-off end to the desert?
I don't know. Could be.
My
feel like-
folks know.
I feel like you should be on the other side of the desert where it's all open and you can use your new items that you have in that big, expansive over area.
I feel like oh crap.
Okay.
Okay, actually, yeah, no, probably.
I don't know. I mean, we have watched me.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We have watched me be critically wrong before.
I have to.
You're right though.
So with the discussion about TF2,
Yeah. Well, I think, obviously I really enjoy thinking critically about these things, but even my anecdotal knowledge is limited. But with TF2, it's interesting. I think that you get these huge communities, just
yeah,
hundreds or thousands of people. And then if you frequent servers enough, then you kind of develop a community within your server.
you get to have your own identity.
Right, and then you get an identity on the server, you make certain relationships, long-lasting relationships with the other players on the server. And I frequent a few different
Just
servers.
like any online space. I mean, that's
Just like
where you
any
get
online space.
with MySpace.
Yeah.
Or,
Exactly.
Sorry, I mean Facebook. Gosh, I don't even know why I said that. But I mean,
Are you really embarrassed?
I feel, yeah, I'm sorry. Guys, I deeply did not mean to, reference
I would never,
something so
I would never
decrepit
accuse
and
any of you to be on MySpace.
but these spaces on Facebook that are online spaces, and that's why there's so many of these
Yeah.
these older women in these areas, because A, they're on there anyway and it's something accessible to them. Wait, did that actually save you? Oh no, that area doesn't have quicksand. Okay, you're cool, dude.
Why don't you take out your whip and whip it?
That
Rip it right out.
I wouldn't
I
be
wish that
surprised.
was how it worked. Great.
That would make me feel so fun.
That'd be a really fun way to interact with your environment.
Whip nipples. You get those whipples. Whipples.
Anyway, I think, like anyone, I frequent these servers the way that I think most people, the reasons I think most people frequent servers is that you get really comfortable, you like the dynamic that's happening, and but I
Do you
think
get to play a lot with other girls?
my roommate is a girl and she plays a lot of TF2 and we play.
Your roommate is a girl.
Right, and she
Stop the presses.
Stop the presses, and we play a lot of TF2 together.
Yeah.
And there are, I think, on the server I frequent with one other girl that I know is a girl. And granted, I think it's a mistake to assume that the people who aren't on mic are men
or women.
but I think most people do because the percentage is just support that.
I don't know. That's kind of more of the Samus thing. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, there may be a default, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're expecting them to stick to it. Although other people might still do that.
She's
She's
terrifying.
belting
I
it.
know. And the reason I frequent the servers I do, and I frequent a couple different.
Yeah. Do
servers.
they like carry a trend or?
They're just kind of, they're a bit more tight knit. The servers I frequent are actually Seattle based, and they're pretty.
Does the localness?
The localness appeals to me in that we have a very similar ideological bend. So
Okay. Just based on where you're around.
right,
The
Seattle's a
atmosphere that
pretty
is
progressive
Seattle.
area, and we have a very similar ideological.
Was that on
Understanding.
purpose or was that on accident? Where you're just like, oh, this is actually.
It's
This
kind of
is
on
Seattle.
accident. I didn't. I found the server through my roommate. I don't know how she found out about the server, but we just started playing kind of simultaneously, and it became really cool. And what's nice about what I like about the server is that they're pretty strict on homophobia, racism, sexism.
Okay.
And I
So
think-
it is- and those are definitely ideas that are carried around this geographical area
Right.
as well.
And like I
Hey,
think.
you got your beads that are not sexual in nature in any way.
And
Put them
what
on
I-
my chest, so my
Right,
chest.
they're inserted into your spirit vessel that you need to fill up.
Wait, are these like? What are they called? Benga beads?
Banga beads? Banga boys?
Yeah,
Dun, 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 dun.
I can't remember the name of this. Benoit. There we are.
Benoit beats, my life is bad. Aha!
Wow, did you just nail that? Like, you were going to be killed, and then you made it?
Yeah, that's pretty much
Cool.
what happened.
Way to go. I'm proud.
But
Cindy's like, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I'm
I'm
pretty
seriously
lost.
lost.
I'm pretty lost.
Yeah, we basically... I don't even know either. We got spirit beads to fill up. And there's a
But,
bunch of beads.
the reason I frequent this server is also because I've discovered that it's a safe place to be on mic for me, which is actually...
So there's dangerous places to be on mic?
Yeah, I think... Well, I don't know. Dangerous, maybe.
I feel like
I'm just saying because it's just with the opposite of
I
safe.
think there... I have definitely been on servers before where the attitude is not necessarily inclusive in general, but then outright hostile when it comes to women.
But that hinders gameplay. I don't see if you're like, why would you try to make a big deal about something if you're trying to also like play this game? It seems like it's in the way.
It's interesting. Yeah, you would think so. You would definitely
You would think so.
You would think that would be a problem, but I think a lot of people that play TF2 don't necessarily play to have the most cohesive team possible, right? I don't know that everyone is so single-minded.
Oh no! I hope that doesn't mean you have to start over.
I think it does.
Oh gosh.
No. However, they're
It's like,
probably
way to
gonna
mess
attack.
that one up. Oh, you're actually pretty good.
Nothing happened.
I don't remember where I was.
But I mean, I think that kind of ties in with a lot of the idea that video games in general tend to be more of a men's club, and the way that I would avoid it before finding kind of my safe quote-unquote servers was that either I would just not go on mic, or I could get away with telling people I was a 12-year-old boy because I have a fairly deep voice for a woman.
Would that actually help?
Kind of.
Or does that just make for a different association so people
Yeah, I mean...
just lay off you in the ways that you want them to?
I think that it's interesting. Usually when I'm unfamiliar with a space, I try to censor myself in a way that I doubt a male counterpart has to consider, in terms of asking my team members for things, or saying things, or giving suggestions, because...
It sounds like a lot of work.
It's... You get used to it.
Just to be a
And I
girl
don't
playing
want to
games.
paint really broad strokes about who these... I mean, what the internet is like.
Oh, yeah.
But even in not just TF2, in other community-based games I've played, I think, especially because they're FPSs, and that tends to be considered a
And they're
fairly-
team-based.
And they're team-based. That considers to be a very much of a boys' arena.
Yeah.
If you paint
That's like
yourself as...
all of the stereotypes in one single place.
Yeah.
Whether it's action figures versus dolls, or guns versus dresses, or... I mean, all of these things show up in an FPS in pretty much every way.
So what ends up happening is that I think there's still a very persistent idea that women are somehow more inferior at gaming than men, or that they just don't have the inherent skill necessary
That
to...
actually showed up our very first day in Bioshock class.
It did.
In a way that I did not expect.
Someone very
in a
flat out
university.
said that anytime you encountered a woman on World of Warcraft, they weren't going to be a good player.
Yeah, they were very dry about that, and I was very surprised. And like the worst glares at this guy, where everyone was like, "What?" And Ed was like thrown for a loop for a second. He was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Should have introduced
Je ne
him.
sais pas.
But I mean, it's interesting. Whenever you play a game like that, where you get a bunch of different people together, and there isn't a whole lot separating you from what you could potentially say. I think sometimes people take that as a consequence-free reality. When the idea
The anonymity of the internet.
Yeah, the idea that being consequence-free means, or if nothing is going to happen to me, then I can say whatever I want, but then they don't acknowledge, or they don't account for the fact that your consequences always have results.
Oh, that's...
Oh my god, what is happening?
You done messed up now.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, leave me alone.
Stop running.
Woo!
Cool. 3 more. You're almost out of this miserable place.
Yeah, but I have no idea how to get through it.
Can you shake it out?
I think the whole argument about the anonymous internet is framed in a way.
It's really tough.
Yep.
They're gonna just take everything from me.
Here, I'm putting it on right here. Nothing I can do about it.
I don't even know how you get up to that place.
I have no idea.
Also, those guys don't know how to get to you either.
There's
here
one.
they come.
Except that one kind of flies.
Oh,
what's going on, bro? So, I feel like you guys have some anger issues if I want to work on it.
Like beeping behind you.
Oh, I can't. Hoopa!
There's one.
There's one back. What? Ha! Oh shit. Ah, shit.
You're just going to run.
No, it's right there. Okay, I'm good. I got this, guys.
Oh shit!
Fuck!
What is happening?
It's like he can't get to it because Link can't jump.
Why can't Link jump?
Shit! Yeah!
Wow!
Wait, Link can't jump?
Link can't jump.
White boy can't jump.
Seriously?
However, I have to go back in here anyway now. But now I should have plenty of time. No. Move it. Oh wait! Shit, I get it. That pool retracts and recedes, so I would have had plenty of time. No! Alright, this is fine. This is a fine situation to be in. Don't worry about it.
Oh, now don't you feel all safe, huh?
Whoop! I'm gonna feel safe for like a couple seconds, and then I'm gonna start running.
Go!
What? Run like this! Ah! Next!
Dead.
God fucking damn it.
That is unfortunate.
Oh well. Continue.
Unfortunate.
I can't even remember what I was saying.
That's okay. I got more questions for you.
Okay.
So, is it hard to maintain a consistent identity when interacting with others online?
I think it's more about, it's like I was saying, the idea that I feel as though...
Yeah, you have to do
in
all,
order-
you have to get all of them again now. I mean, you know where most of them are now, so that's not too bad. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. They want to make sure they milk all of the game time out of this. Spoilers. Making someone play your game for a long time may not actually represent it being worth their money.
Conversely, if this was easy as shit, it would be boring.
Yeah, if this was, not a lame thing, it also might. Ooh. You didn't have that before.
Yes, I don't know.
So, whatever, man. Anyways.
Oh, so being consistent, I think it kind of just goes back to what I was saying about the fact that
You have to change your identity all the time, depending on where you're at.
yeah, but I think that's true for most people.
Yeah.
I would say that being a woman, gaming and being or playing a genre that is fairly male dominated thus far, or has very little vocal women, or they're
Yeah.
it just, I end up having to be careful what I say because I don't want to draw negative attention to myself, because when I'm on a server that I'm not familiar with, I don't know what the ideology is like, I don't know what the attitudes are like.
Do you feel like you have to represent women?
I feel, I kind of feel that pressure because I'm not a great gamer. I can definitely get by, I can definitely help a team win, and I think I can be an asset to your team, especially in TF2. I feel as though I have some skill. But I feel a lot of times if especially if I'm the only woman that frequents the server, or if I'm one of a very few number of women, I feel as though it becomes easy for people to point at me or point at my roommate, and if we're not doing very well, then it becomes
You become the scapegoat.
It becomes just either a scapegoat for the... Well, I very rarely become the scapegoat for the team just because I play medic and... You
can't.
I always beat one. Yeah, I can always beat more medics, but I feel as though it just becomes...
So you do kind of put yourself in a role where it's like, you try to avoid that.
I play medic because I just started playing medic. I played heavy and pyro and demo man fairly early on. This might not make sense to people who don't play TF2, but...
Those are more aggressive.
Like, those are kind of the more... I want to do damage classes.
Yeah.
Then the medic is obviously a support class, and I just started to realize, like, there's never enough medics on the team. Or there were never enough medics, like, and we always needed another medic, so I just started playing medic, and then through that, I've kind of ended up becoming a career medic, essentially.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That means that's just what you stick with?
Almost exclusively what I play.
Okay. And that's what people expect from you, too, at this point.
Yeah. Anyway, so...
This is the scariest friggin' thing ever. Good gracious. Now you can pull it, though.
Nah. I ain't dicking with that, man.
I think that if I perform poorly, I'm often worried that it's going to become, oh, you've shown me that my biases are correct, or it becomes even more anecdotal evidence to the idea that women can't be good gamers.
It's a lot of weight, but at the same time, I mean, you can also get a lot of reward from it if you're doing well.
If you're doing well, it's very rewarding, but I feel as though you have to do...
you have the weight of representing, but then you also get the reward of you get to represent.
It can be rewarding, but at the same time, I feel as though when it comes to doing well, I think a lot of people have fairly short memories.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel as though doing well once, or being one good player, is not enough for people to say, oh, okay, women on the whole, or people who already have the bias that women can't be good gamers. I don't think it's enough. Like, one example is enough for them to say...
Although skill level is also... is not just women, but there's also everything else from how much they've spent on it, like free-to-play gamers, and you get that in TF2.
Yeah.
These are where it's like, oh, these are the freebie guys, they don't know what they're doing.
And I paid for
someone
TF2,
who bought their levels in WoW, or... I mean, it's like against everything to be like, oh, you must have just paid for your character, and that's why you suck at this, even though you are level 80 or something.
Yeah.
And that's something that's accused.
The bigger thing is having...
Or you have a bunch of, like, technological things to help you with it. That's what you're talking about, like, right, Michael?
Well, that too, that's especially a big thing, but I was more going to say the way people who do play, when they don't have time, they have people who don't know how to play their characters for them. That is the thing that gets accused a lot. AKA, why are you playing your daddy's account, you 12-year-old? Or young.
Yeah.
That happens.
Although those are, I don't want to take away from, those are very different from,
I understand.
Emails and stuff.
No, that's completely different. I was just...
Woo, you did it! You collected every friggin' tier.
Yeah, but now I need to get back.
Oh, no.
Okay. I feel like this is a bad idea, so I'm going the wrong way.
So I feel a lot of pressure to at least not do terrible, because I just don't want to become more fuel or more some quote unquote evidence for someone. And I feel as though I don't want to abide. I don't want to fulfill people's expectations.
Does not abide.
The dudette does not abide, and that would really hold it together. I just I don't want to.
You don't want to?
Well, it's just like if people already have those biases and they're willing to be rude about it online, I draw attention to myself and I make myself a target. If I do poorly or if I go on mic, So I think just because I want to win, I mean, obviously,
Jessica.
people who do poorly
Yeah.
of all genders make themselves a target. But when I
Or other kind of representations.
right, when I do poorly, it's gendered in a very specific way. It's not neutral to skill.
Unfortunately, when you do well,
Right.
it's not.
Mhm.
And I get you. So you say there's specific places that you go that will respect women, but are there actual communities specifically interested in supporting women in gaming?
Are you talking about TF2 or just in general?
Or in general, anything?
There,
that you
I
found?
think there are a lot of really interesting, and I think there are a lot of women gamers, and I think people don't expect that or realize that. And I think there are a lot of communities that are out there to support female gamers, and I think a lot of the spheres that I enjoy kind of studying are the critical analysis, the academic kind of why is this way, or
The academic world does seem to have a lot more
Academic
women
world.
invested into it
right.
than you'd think would be, there are actually a lot of vocal women that are in that area in a good way.
I mean, it's really interesting how women have kind of developed, or in what framework the support for women gamers has developed amongst women. A really interesting example is a website called, I believe it's called Fat, Ugly, or Slutty, which is a website.
Yeah, that's Fat Ugly or Slutty. Yeah.
Which is a website that women gamers who have been harassed in a specific way will
Talk about their stories.
talk about their stories and post stories and screenshots of when they get insulted in a very specific way, and often, this has happened to me often, the ways that misogyny or misogynistic comments
So,
develop.
you identify as a female gamer.
Mhm.
Do you identify as fat, ugly, or slutty?
I might identify as
Oh.
fat, but in a really happy, like I'm nesting
I
sort of way.
don't understand.
Like
Is that with a
athlete.
PH?
Like PH fat. Like I wear like giant pants and a backwards baseball cap, and I'm a 1990s R&B star.
You identify as crisscross?
Just Chris, not Cross.
Oh, yeah. I get you. But it makes you want to jump.
It makes me want to jump. And also, I like to wear my clothes backwards. It's really cool.
Especially standing up.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, the point that I'm making is that you are being identified in a way that
Right.
you are not.
Well, it's an interesting assumption that when someone's being misogynistic to a woman or making misogynistic comments that are not necessarily about her skill level, which is a very hot topic.
And it doesn't have any
Yeah.
application.
Right.
to
It's
what's going
usually
on.
about her being either fat, ugly, or slutty. And somehow it's just like if you're a woman and you're gaming, you must be fat or ugly or slutty, because why would you be playing a video game? Which,
Wow! You got some range on that. And you just dropped the controller. Like you're on stage or something. What a rock star.
Wow, I didn't even need to do that. There's a path.
There's a path, but you can still, take your victory run.